welcome to the show. And we're here with Dr. Keith Unger from the Center for Natural Wellness, and you are a chiropractor with all kinds of different certifications. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. I'm going to guess that close to half or a little bit more than half of Americans take vitamins on a daily basis. That's our topic today. First question, why do people need to take vitamins?
Well, we have to realize that we can't get a lot of nutrients and vitamins in our food supply because a lot of our soils have been devoid of nutrients and minerals. And so to actually replace the loss of those nutrients from our soil, we have to take supplements if we want to, number one, prevent disease, or if we just simply want to stay healthy, or if we have a disease and we want to make our chemistry in our body much more stable. And it can actually change the chemistry by taking vitamins.
There's really a multiplicity of factors coming together. We're not eating right. That's number one. What we are eating is very processed.
Correct.
And number three, there's more stress in our lives and in the environment. All those come together, I guess, to put us in a situation where maybe we do need vitamins.
Well, we have to realize that our body is nothing but a big biochemical soup pot, so to speak, and in that pot of soup there's, let's call it alphabet soup. There's different nutrients, there's different chemicals, there's different enzymes, and what happens is that when we eat these processed refined carbohydrates, or we eat these foods that aren't full of nutrients, what happens is that we start to miss some of those nutrients, and then these biochemical steps in our body can occur, and that can lead us down the road to actually disease or pathology.
Now, if you read the contents of a lot of the junk food in grocery stores, it says that they've added this vitamin and that vitamin. Why isn't that sufficient?
Well, because those are basically synthetic vitamins, and there's a difference between synthetic and whole food vitamins, and a lot of times they'll just spray those chemicals back into there so that they can say that it has an RDA of vitamin A, so people think that they're really getting something, but realistically those synthetic vitamins are dead, they're inert, they're devoid of enzymes, and basically they can create more deficiencies in the body if taken for long term.
And there's also the issue that whole foods, natural foods, fruit, vegetables, different things like this, they have more than one vitamin. They have a whole lot of things.
Absolutely. They have antioxidants, you know, they have a lot of minerals, a lot of nutrients that are in there, and in different colors will give you different types of minerals and nutrients. And so, you know, that's why variety is good. That's why color is good on your plate. So you can get this different varieties of minerals and nutrients and not eat the same things day in and day out.
Right, and of course kids, for you parents, you know that all they want to do is eat whole, natural foods, and how can we get kids to eat more junk food? Now, wait a second, not. Okay, right. The fact is that kids are not eating right. What's the problem?
Usually it's the parents. I'm going to say that because they're the ones that bring the food into the house, especially in young kids. And I think parents need to be taught about diet. And a lot of times they may go to their doctor and they say you need to change your diet, but they never tell them what to do. And we have to realize that these young kids are not getting their fruits and vegetables in. These young kids are eating sugar-laden foods. They're eating foods that are fried. You go to the high schools and every one of these kids, if you ask any kid what's the favorite thing they want, what is it? Chicken, fried chicken, okay? Or the chicken nuggets, fried chicken nuggets. If you go to a restaurant, all the appetizers are fried foods. These are loaded with trans fats, and these can affect their brains. They can affect cellular communication. They can affect our essential fatty acid metabolism, which are all vital as these young kids are growing for normal growth and bone support. And they keep eating these processed refined carbohydrates, and it's going to create deficiencies, and it's going to lead them down the road to ill health, and usually in the form of obesity.
What's the problem with eating a diet where you're drinking a lot of sugared pops and eating a lot of cheeseburgers? And I ask this question for other people, not for myself.
Well, we have to realize that, you know, you can do things, everything in moderation is a good key, but, you know, for these kids to be drinking 3 or 4 pops a day, it's number one, it's not healthy. We have to realize too, let's take a look at when we were growing up, how much pop did you get? You know, we have a little can, a 12-ounce can. Now, if you go somewhere and you ask for a pop and they give you a large, it's 64 ounces. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in there. And we have to realize our body has to metabolize this sugar. And when we eat these foods for long periods of time, these sugars can create deficiencies, such as vitamin B deficiencies. And this can make kids irritable, rage, violent behavior if you have serious vitamin B deficiencies. So the key is that they need to eat other foods where they can get the other vitamins and not just the fried foods and the pops.
There was an interesting film, and I do not remember the name of it. It was released about 2 years ago, where a young man, he was 20-something, film director, went on a diet of nothing but junk food. And he got severely ill. His doctor made him go off the diet before the movie was completed. So I guess your point is that you don't really want to be eating a lot of junk foods. You want to eat more whole foods. What do you define as whole food?
Well, things that are in their original form that you find them in nature, that's a whole food to me. You know, we have our lettuces, we have our fruits, we have our vegetables. Those are good whole foods that you can actually get in. Most people don't even have those in their house, unfortunately. Most of them have potato chips, pretzels, popcorn, candy bars, more potato chips, and then, of course, pop along with it.
I see you've been over to my house, but no, please continue.
Well, you know, the thing is that sooner or later this is going to affect them. And, you know, and sometimes people, they get diabetes and they come in and say, oh, I was just diagnosed with diabetes. And I say, well, guess what? You've been working on it for about 10 years. This didn't happen overnight because it's the way you've been eating, it's your dietary styles, it's your healthy lifestyle, not exercising, and all these things are going to play a role to disease. You just don't wake up with diabetes someday. But we have to realize we have kids 10, 11 years old getting type 2 diabetes, adult onset diabetes at the age of 12. And so why is that? Because of their diet and their lifestyle changes that they need to actually look at.
Okay, so I decide I'm going to get on a health kick. I start exercising, I start eating right, and then I go to get vitamins. Well, I can go to a drugstore, a local drugstore, and get vitamins for $1.99, but then I go into a health food store or a higher priced grouping of vitamins, and I may pay $15. I mean, is the difference the markup? Or how can there be such a disparity in the pricing of vitamins?
Well, we have to realize this, and most average consumers doesn't know much about vitamins. We have to realize that most of the synthetic vitamins are actually produced by pharmaceutical companies. And what happens is that, let's say vitamin A, we'll take beta carotene, or vitamin E, let's use that for example. And if we can maybe pull up the slide on vitamin E, we'll show you an example of it. Basically with vitamin E, we have to realize that according to the FDA, vitamin E has to be called alpha tocopherol. And we have to realize that vitamin E is a synthetic the form of alpha tocopherol. So what they do is when you look at vitamin E, it also has delta tocopherols, beta tocopherols, gamma tocopherols. It also has E2, E3.
And that's what we're looking at on the screen here.
Yeah, and so it has the whole complex to it. It has F2 and F3, F1 and F2. It has xanthines, it has lipositols, and it also has selenium, which is a trace mineral. And what happens is that these vitamins that you're buying in the grocery store, most people don't know that most of the vitamin E in the form of alpha tocopherol on the, in most of the stores, if it says vitamin E and after it says alpha tocopherol, that's usually produced from Eastman Kodak Company, and that's a byproduct of some of the things that go on at that factory, and they sell it over to drug companies. But the key is that they tease that component out and they chemically mass produce it, and they actually have a patent on that. But the problem is that can create other deficiencies because our body needs these other cofactors and enzymes and minerals that are in there to absolutely absorb that vitamin. So it can create deficiencies if it's used for long periods of time. So as far as the pricing goes, it can be dependent upon how much the company's marketing it. So the more they put it on TV, the higher the price it's going to be.
So when it comes to vitamins, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely, in my opinion. But you have to look at the source. Where are you getting the source of the vitamins from? And we have to realize that synthetic vitamins, as I said, they're devoid of enzymes, they're non-perishable, they're dead. We have to realize the human body is a living organism, and we have to realize that if we're going to fuel this living organism, we need live nutrients. And that's why I recommend whole food supplements, because they are basically whole foods that are dried at a very low temperature, so we do not destroy any of these enzymes, any of these vitamins, any of these nutrients, and they have all these catalysts in there so that when it goes into our body, it can actually help make changes in our body.